Hello! In this video I began to show you in my Kolberg, the tier 3 German cruiser. And, well, I don't really show games in this ship that often just because, well, it's quite a good ship. I don't think it's actually that fun of a ship, if you know what I mean. It's basically got very good damage per minute, good firing arcs, small caliber guns but they fire rapidly, do a lot of damage. Which just makes the gameplay seem a bit, well, one-dimensional. It's basically just, you know, out-DPM your enemies until they die, and then you out-DPM your enemies some more until the next ones die. But sometimes you can actually have pretty phenomenal games just by doing that. So I'm here on Big Race. We're already 2.5 minutes into the game. I was actually AFK at the start of it. I was off reading an article and completely forgot I'd hit, join the battle. But it turns out I'm still first to enemy because that's the way these things happen. And, well, I've kind of already made a bit of a mistake here. Basically the whole DPM thing only works if you're fighting one-on-one. And if you look at the minimap, you can see I'm actually fighting 3-on-1 at the moment. So far the enemy haven't actually hit me, but that's not going to last much longer. But I am putting the rapid firing nature of these guns to good effect. I've started 2 fires on that South Carolina. I haven't done a huge amount of damage, but, well, I've done a fair bit. And my team's slowly arriving to back me up. I'll switch focus to the Kolberg, and also switch to armor piercing ammunition, because Kolbergs are quite vulnerable to armor piercing. At least small caliber armor piercing. And well, someone managed to take out the engine. I don't think it was me, but the Kolberg's already lost half its hit points. It just came a bit far around the island so my team could back me up there. And I'm still doing basically 1,000 damage per broadside, and there's a broadside going out every, what, 6 seconds? 5 seconds? 4 seconds even? So yeah, really don't want to get in a situation where a Kolberg can fire armor piercing at you. It's gotten a lot less effective now just because the Kolberg's angled away, so a lot of my shots are missing or bouncing, but I'm still getting a few hits in there. Well, there's one, 380 damage. But I thought that Kolberg would die, but I don't get the kill. But it doesn't really matter, there are destroyers I need to destroy up here. They're approaching on my allied battleships. Fire some armor piercing at that one, but it pulls back behind the island so I don't get any hits. But I've switched to high explosive now. And can fire away at this one. And again, destroyers don't have any armor, or at least not a significant amount of armor, so you do a lot of damage to them. Unfortunately, the shells on the Kolberg are actually quite weak, so you need a couple of hits to actually destroy the engine. We see I've just managed to do it. The destroyer's repaired its engine, but if we can get another hit on it, that would be fantastic. I should also mention that my rudder was knocked out there, which is why I was turning away from the destroyer. And basically now I decide to, well, derelict my duties a little bit. I should be trying to chase down those destroyers to keep my battleships alive, but instead I decided to fire high explosive at long range at this battleship, just because I thought it was an easier target and I was more likely to hit it and do a bit of damage. But, as I say, really I should be turning around to chase down those destroyers. Do manage to start a fire on South Carolina though, and those torpedoes miss. I wouldn't mind torpedoes. Oh no, get a few hits there. A lot of hits actually, do a lot of damage. And my high explosive shells are also doing a fair bit of damage there when they hit. Actually I say that and I got all those hits and did no damage. I actually find that on Kolberg, some games when firing high explosive at battleships, I'll always hit their thick armour and just won't do any damage, or do very little damage from firing a lot of shells. You see, I'm firing a lot of shells, getting a lot of hits. I'm actually start fires. You can even start fires without doing any damage as I did there. But the alpha damage isn't really there. There we go, 500 from that broadside. And looks like my fire will probably kill that South Carolina. There we go. So my first kill, a tier 3 battleship. And a Sapson. Fairly easy kill if I can keep it within range. Fortunately for my team, those destroyers I left behind, they haven't actually done anything significant. And well, we've managed to take out the Sapson's engine, and takes a torp from my allied destroyer, so that one gets the kill. When I say nothing significant, that battleship's almost dead. And I believe... no, that's not the umikaze from earlier, this must be a different one. Firing at long range, I'm quite unlikely to hit, but it's still worth taking the shots. Just because you might get lucky, as I did there. Well, it wasn't really luck that umikaze wasn't turning at all. I managed to take out some torpedo tubes, which is very useful for my battleships, and took out a gun turret there. Of course, I really want to take out the engine so it will stop manoeuvring so much. But I believe my ally did there just briefly, so hopefully I can take out its engine there, which means it's going to be stuck for a long time with a wrecked engine. We started fire on it, and well, it can't really manoeuvre now, so my shots are getting pretty accurate. And we actually just managed to win the Confederate War there. We're doing a lot of damage to a lot of enemy ships. And there's kill number 2. And well, the game's pretty even at the moment. We're actually capturing the enemy base. We're up by 1 ship, but myself and the 2 battleships are kind of well away from the fight. And for the next little bit, those 2 destroyers you see in front of me there are going to be fighting the enemy team by themselves. And there you can see a ship that I'm very jealous of. I've basically wanted a Mikasa since this game went into open beta. Actually, when they first sold it on the Asian server, I came this close to buying it, but I decided since I mostly played on the North American server, I would wait for a week or 2 or however long it took for it to become available on the North American server, and I could buy it then, and it's never become available. It's actually become available twice now on the Asian server, and again I decided not to buy it just because, as I say, I mostly play on the North American server. I wanted on the North American server to help train my potential future Japanese battleship captains, but Wargaming just won't sell it to me. Well, they won't sell it to anybody. They've given it away as prizes, which I'm assuming is how this player's gotten it. And I don't want the Mikasa because it's good, because I don't think it will be good. I kind of want it because I like pre-Dreadnought battleships, and I think we're cool to own, and I also want it for its historical significance, being Admiral Togo's flagship at the Battle of Tsushima. But I don't really think it's a good ship. Oh no, it's got lots of secondaries, and I love secondary guns. But anyway, enough talking about how I want the Mikasa. I was engaging the destroyers, but they're in the smoke screen now, so that doesn't force me, but I decided the next best thing is to fire high explosive at the Mikasa. It does a bit of damage to me, but it's only got 4 main caliber guns, so it can't actually do that much damage to me. As long as I stay out of its secondary range, it's not going to be that harmful, or it's going to take a long time to do a lot of damage. And meanwhile, I'm just firing away, doing, like I said, about 1,000 damage with every broadside. The Mikasa doesn't seem to be that well armoured. I do start a fire there, but it puts it out. Start another fire, but that was probably too quick. It sends 4 shells my way, but they all miss. And here's that destroyer. So again, this is my main target here. My main job is to kill destroyers. And I miss. And unfortunately, turning around to bring my guns on target quicker is basically put me on a collision course for this island. And I'm still only just getting my guns on target, 2,200 damage with that broadside. I managed to finish off the destroyer, but only after I get sunk by the enemy St. Louis, which leaves us on a 2v2, our 2 battleships versus the Mikasa and the St. Louis. So I was expecting my team to win this, but instead the game went for another 9.5 minutes, and we actually went on points. Basically, for about 2.5 minutes, this South Carolina sat on this side of the island. The Mikasa didn't come around and was sitting on the other side of the island the whole time. And basically, as I said, we won by points. But I said, well, Confederate medal, 87,000 credits, 1,500 experience, 3 kills, 217 hits. And I got top of my team, which is kind of surprising because I didn't think I actually did that much. I mean, I shot at a lot of ships, but I didn't do spectacular things. I kind of killed the damaged enemies already. And you see here, I only actually did, well, I say only, 50,000 damage. But when you think about it, I did that in 10 minutes before I died, so that's 5,000 damage per minute. And then you've got to kind of take out the 2.5 minutes before I actually got into the fight, and probably a minute in the middle there where I wasn't actually doing anything. And that's actually getting pretty close to about 8,000 damage per minute. And that was far from ideal. Like, a lot of those shells did no damage when I was firing high explosive at the South Carolina and at the Mikasa later on. And against the destroyers, I missed a lot. You see, 535 shells fired. I only got, so I had about a 40% accuracy rate, and it still got me a huge damage per minute ratio. And that's basically the strength of the Kolberg. It's just insane the damage this ship can put out when it is in a good situation against enemies that will take that damage. I mean, even against enemies like South Carolina, which are pretty resistant to your alpha damage, their fire potential just from firing so many high explosive shells kind of makes up for that. But as I said, it's not actually something I find fun. Like, I didn't feel I'd actually played really well in this game. It's just the nature of the ship carried me through, and it wasn't any particular skill on my part. But yeah, so that's kind of what I started with. The Kolberg, it's a good ship, but it's not something I find fun. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.